What's cracking, people? It's your man, Cousin T, aka the Alpha Wingman, representing high-level technicians operating globally and beyond. So listen, today I was running some errands, so I had some time to listen to some videos just driving around town. And what was so interesting is that I guess, the YouTube algorithm was just, throwing some interesting content my way that I think were similar in nature, but very different in the perspective and delivery. So I wanted to put together a quick podcast just reviewing those three videos and my reactions and my observations regarding the different perspectives that they presented, because I think that they fall under three of the archetypes that are an ongoing conversation, and especially on my channel. First, I want to say, the Malik or the Genius Bruiser archetype, the Pookie Ray Ray archetype, and the Carlton archetype. So without further ado, I'll get right into it. So the first video that came up that was interesting was from the Field Master, Rom Wills, and this is from his Hello Ladies channel, and it was titled, "It's Reasonable to Expect a Man to Be Doing Something with His Life." Now, I think this was a good video. It was very diplomatic, I'll put it that way, in the way that Rom explained that there are a lot of women that comment to him regarding how a man can have some bomb dick, but no aspirations in life and no purpose. He's not, doing anything but sitting on the couch playing Xbox and, smashing when she gets home. And how women want men who are more focused and have vision, which I can agree with that, and I can see how that can come from the Malik energy perspective and wanting to be more balanced and wanting to encourage men to bring more to the table than just back-breaking D. The second video was actually by Mr. Locario, and that was entitled "The Only Reason Women Want to Have Sex." And I thought this was a good video because a lot of times when they recommend Mr. Locario's videos, he's responding to emails from guys who have no clue, and from guys who think they know but they have no experience in the subjects that they're talking about. So a lot of times his videos are answering questions and breaking down aspects of the game that most guys have no clue about. But this one today, he just got right down to it, and I think he embodied that Pookie Ray Ray energy, and he just said flat out, women want bomb D attached to a sexy man, and that's basically what it boils down to. I think at the end of the day, that raw sexual energy, being attractive, more than just having what they call looks, money, and status. I think he quoted that in his video, is just getting right to the point. But when we think about those two things in the context of what qualifies as a good man, I think that we got two angles about what that is. So if we look at Rom's video, a quote-unquote good man, from the perspective of the audience on that channel, is a man who not only brings bomb D, but brings, I guess, a paycheck, penis and a paycheck. And actually, that's what a woman commented on it, and Rom repeated it. I was like, what? She said something and the likes of poverty penis. I'm like, oh shit, here we go. In one of my previous videos, I think when I was talking about different levels of the P or pussy, I referred to recession pussy, which is the type of pussy that is whatever, but you ain't got a job, so you'll put up with it until you get on, and then you bounce. What stood out in that video to me. But the second video, I think a takeaway from that could be a woman's perspective on what a good man is, meaning he doesn't necessarily have to bring all of these other things like looks, money, and status to the table, but if he has that sex appeal and that bomb D to back it up, he's definitely in that qualification as a good man, but he's good to her and not necessarily for her. And at the end of the day, that type of man is simply a roster position in that woman's life. So the third video, which is the most, I don't know, the most thought-provoking video, I'm gonna put it that way, thought-provoking out of the three, is a video by the roommates, which is entitled "No Good Men Myth." I think that's what it says. Relationship idolatry, gender differences, and more. And basically, so okay, let me just be honest. I really don't ascribe to much of anything that the roommates talk about. I think they're too Carlton to try to re-engineer the code of nature and try to flip things around so that they can get some type of inroads for guys who aren't necessarily looked upon as sexual beings. And it's because, and I'm not trying to completely shit on them, the reason why I subbed their channel is because of that video that they did with Rebecca Lynn Pope, which I'm going to do a review about. But in any case, this video popped up on my feed, and I thought it was interesting how they went in on a lot of women's definition of what a good man is, and how they were saying that women view men who want relationships with them as good men, despite flaws that they may have. They could be alcoholics, they could be all these types of trash dudes behind closed doors, but as long as they're willing to be in a relationship with a woman perceives that as a good man. And throughout, the flip side to that is, if she can't tie you down into a monogamous committed relationship, then you're considered a quote unquote bad man. And through this video, and I think through a couple other ones that they posted, I mean, they basically talk about their adventures in the friend zone with a lot of different women, and it's interesting because in this particular video, they started really like going in on the quote unquote 1% guy, and they used Tristan Thompson and Drake as an example of men who are successful, men who are appealing to a wide variety of women who got money and access to all kinds of pussy, so they don't necessarily have to fall into that monogamous category. And how they put out a standard. Tristan Thompson and Drake put out a standard that they themselves, the roommates, don't want to be held to, which is interesting. More on that later, because if you've listened to previous podcasts of mine, I feel that alpha men, or the alpha standard, should be a superlative standard that a person or men who want to be motivated or purpose driven should model themselves on. I'm not saying that there should be a direct correlation or exact comparison, but I think that men should look at athletes. They should look at masters of the universe, people who are movers and shakers, and try to model their recipe for success off of them, working out, spending hours and hours on their image, their appearance, their knowledge base, and all of these things to make this final presentation. But like I said, that's another story for another day. So the roommates went on to start Carlton-splaining, as I would call it, about what the Christian Bible says about making extremes out of things. I think that's what it said. In this case, they used women's quote-unquote obsession for relationships as the extreme, or the idolized thing, and then they flipped the once friend zone guy. Like, they got the example of this friend zone guy who now wants to be free with his willy, and they try to spin it so that, you know, he is somehow moral, by saying that it's actually the woman who's bad, according to the Christian Bible, because she gave his once friend zoned ass some pussy, and with the pussy came with a tax bill of a relationship, and now he wanted to get some strange pussy, free of conscience, you know, with a free conscience, or a non-guilty conscience. So interesting wordplay on the part of the roommates, but I can make a separate video all about Carlton's planning and trying to, you know, trying to cover over or justify, you know, not necessarily achieving, you know, your best physicality, not achieving that central masculinity, and not, you know, going above and beyond what a 9 to 5 pencil pusher presentation is like. In any case, basically what they did was attempt to flip a woman's social coding by using a perceived higher authority, you know, the Christian Bible, which is, I mean, the shit is classic, man. I mean, they really tried it. That's why it was an interesting video. Now, don't get me wrong, I respect people's non-extremist religious beliefs and, you know, the individual's spiritual past. I think that's a very important aspect of a person's personal and self-development. But I can't rock with trying to use that as a moral judo flip, to go from friend zoned to bae to wanting strange pussy, all guilt free. Anyway, let's get to the point of this podcast. Basically, I want to present how an ASP or a technician, or even, you know, a USP perceives what a good man is. Now, I first want to propose that we replace the word good with valuable, because I think it's a relative thing. I think what good means is something totally different from one person to the other. But what is, you know, universally transferable is the word value. If a person brings valuable, you know, tangibles and elements to a situation. So that's the first thing. Using that in the vanilla world, good is associated with committed, monogamous relationship material type guy. That's what I think it boils down to. And two examples of that could be the good and the bad example can be presented as, well, Bill Gates, right? He's, you know, somebody who built a company into a multi-billion-dollar global conglomeration, and he's married to, you know, the same woman that he was married to before the company was built. And so in this case, he has all those tenets of what a quote-unquote good guy would be. The other side would be Jeff Bezos, who is also a super ultra high net worth individual who, you know, again, built a company. He was also married, but in this case, he cheated, and now he's going through a divorce. And so all of the value that he had prior is cut in half. And so a lot of people perceive Jeff Bezos as not necessarily a good guy anymore. He's on the other side of that, which is interesting. So basically, in my world, a good guy or a valuable man lives in the truth of his purpose in relations to other people, his immediate environment, and the outside world. So basically, when I coach guys, and what I teach and preach is value sets, building up all those aspects of your life individually to present value to your world, your environment, and the outside world. Women are a byproduct of that, and we get more into that in depth on the other side, on the Patreon side. But in any case, I like to use the example of a lion, right? So the lion is, I think, the prototypical good provider. He's the good male in his world. He's a provider, protector, he's a leader, he's a father, he's a sex machine, right? They fuck what, 10 times a day or some shit like that. He provides for and protects the young and many lionesses in the pride. So as long as he fulfills these roles, he would be considered a good or valuable lion. Except if you're a zebra. Except if you're an impala. Except if you're lower on the food chain. So here it is. At the end of the day, basically with all of these examples and all of these thoughts and opinions and flips and logic is regarding what a quote-unquote good man is, I think that at the end of the day, if you're really going to be the best version of yourself and a masculine master from an ASP or a select man's perspective, I'll leave you with these two things. ASPs or select men don't move around like most men. So, one, the rules that apply for most or the average beta blue pill guys don't apply to ASPs or select men. And two, we are not the least bit interested in what our food thinks about us. Once again, it's your man Cousin T, aka the Alpha Wingman, saying stay sharp and mission focused. Later.